Hello, fellow dreamers, and welcome back to the Dreamers Live podcast. We are so thrilled you're here. This episode is called Why We Persist. Why do we keep going? Why do we keep going? Why not give in to cynicism and head for the couch and just eat Cheetos? I do love some Cheetos. That's what we're talking about today. Stick around and join the conversation.
This podcast is a presentation of Pioneer Dream, celebrating 30 years of moving stories for our corporate, nonprofit, and entertainment partners.
Well, hello, fellow dreamers, and welcome back to the Dreamers Live podcast. I am joined, as always, by my co-conspirator, Ann Jeanette.
Hello, everyone.
We are coming to you live from the beautiful city of Bartlesville, Oklahoma, in the Pioneer Dream Lair, our loft, which is the center of the known universe.
I mean, for us anyway.
Yeah, and so we're thrilled to be with you again, and it is bright and sunny after a spate of rain and cold, so we're happy to be here.
It is nice to see the sun shining through. And I just noticed that your little Yoda, you have a little stuffed Yoda, is up in your office pine tree, and that is very cute.
Yeah, he likes to hang out there, and then there's also a little octopus that hangs out
I know, that's so fun.
Which is funny because I'm kind of more or less a minimalist when it comes to stuff.
Well, there's only two small things on a big tree, so it's good.
Yeah. And hey, how's your butt?
Excuse me?
Yeah, we have new chairs. And they're,
oh, yeah. You've really been spiffing up our little mini studio.
I figured that
it's your new hobby.
I figured if I changed these few elements that maybe you'd give a better podcast.
Okay. Maybe you should change your own chair then.
All right then.
No, actually the chairs are pretty cushy.
Yeah.
I mean, for being on sale on Amazon.
It is funny how excited you can get about a few small things.
Yeah, that's a good quality.
Yeah, it's not a new car, it's not a new house, it's not a new job, it's not whatever.
New wife.
But then,
Ouch.
And then again, I don't need another one. But then, we were working through some stuff on the podcast thing and thinking about what we were going to change a few things. We even thought about building a little studio space and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
If you listen to some of the other episodes, you'll know that we decided...
we tend to take on too much, and so...
Well, we knew going into 2025 we wanted to change some things. And we started on this 20% plan, and
that means to reduce our output and energies, right? Everything by 20%.
Yeah, and so we discovered that what's funny is when you go across the board like a corporation and you say, okay, every department has to cut 20%, you find that the things that you end up cutting are the things that are really pretty much the big hassles in your life in each of those areas. And so one of the big hassles for us was trying to include video in our podcast. Most people listen to the podcast. There is a segment of people who will listen or watch this on YouTube. But setting that up every time we did an episode was really a pain.
Yeah, I mean, I had to wash my hair and look okay.
Yeah,
it
and
was a lot of work.
Multiple cameras and all that kind of stuff. And then one day I thought, we don't have to do video for the podcast. And it is probably the one part of the podcast scenario that I like the least.
Right.
Because once we shoot it, then you have to edit it and put it all together and on. And then you're outputting it to multiple sources. And, it's a pain. And so then I thought we could just get rid of that. So
simplify your life. So
then we decided we would upgrade the sound booth we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
And so we've been kind of working through that, and that has given us like a little spot of joy just to come in and take this little spot that was already being used this way. But it's like, we redid the foam wall and we
it looks so cool. There's a new little rug in here. Oh, and my favorite thing is there's a little piece of furniture behind me. I set my coffee cup or whatever. Yeah. And there's a little diffuser with sort of like essential oils. It's kind of an orangish, citrusy.
It smells nice in here.
That's definitely inspirational.
But that's a look into our world.
There
and
you
now
go.
Back to you guys.
Things you didn't want to know about.
Speaking of, we have been in this office now, it doesn't feel like it, but 20 years. The way I keep track of it?
That's crazy.
We have a painting in our bathroom. It's an original painting by Jill Kramer, who's an artist friend of ours and we've worked together with for way longer.
She illustrated Bird in the Moon.
Yeah.
The children's book. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we first got into this office, we did what we always do, which was we took on too much. And we decided we would introduce everybody to the office and do a little office crawl and a Christmas party.
Yes.
And we invited all the local artists to come bring their Christmas stuff
Yeah,
up.
Christmas from the heart or in the heart. Yeah.
And it was like we did stuff here, and then we went over to Theater Bartlesville. We did a big Christmas concert. And
right.
all the local musicians came out. But anyway, that painting in our bathroom is from that event. And it has the date on the bottom of it. And that's the only thing that helps me keep track of how long we've been in this space.
That's hilarious.
Is that little painting in there.
That's crazy.
So I know from that we've been in here for 20 years.
Yeah, amazing.
And I know that based on our origin story as a company, that we got a check for a job in 1996.
Yeah, I remember that.
Our first check.
August.
And that means that we're closing in on 30 years.
So next year, would be. Yeah. That's wow.
And so I was thinking about that, thinking about today in the podcast, and thinking about, conversations you and I have had over the last week or two. And, it's, we're all human. So we have, in every life, whether you see it in other people's lives or not, there's a whole lot of up and down. There's a whole lot of back and forth.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, we get on that struggle bus because you have all these ideals that you're trying to reach and goals that you want to achieve and things that you're fighting for. And even, different, I don't know what you call them, aspirations. I don't know, the kind of person you want to be, the kind of world you want to live in, and all the things that you fight to hopefully achieve in the surrounding world that you are a part of.
Right.
And within all that, of course, there's a whole lot of back and forth and up and down. And sometimes the downs speak louder than the ups. Sometimes they yell in your ear.
Seasons. Yeah, for sure.
They yell in your ear a little bit louder, I think. So it's like, we joke about as artists, the amount of feedback you get from people or don't get from people.
Or lack thereof.
All that kind of stuff. And so it's funny that sometimes you can feel a little unseen as an artist, and that silence screams loudly to us. And yet there are a lot of people who say things. It's just we don't register them at the same volume level.
Right.
The negatives.
Well, they even say that too. I mean, I've heard that there's some statistic I can't remember, but if somebody has like a comment line or whatever that they're calling in for a company, that for every negative comment that comes in, there are probably 30 positive things that people have not said that are not coming in. I can't remember the exact numbers, but the idea is that negative is always easier to come by.
I think I remember that from, when we were in school, and I was in the School of Advertising. I was in the School of Journalism doing advertising at the University of Oklahoma. And so I remember the people are far more likely to complain than they are to praise, which is a weird thing.
Yeah.
And so
it comes more naturally, unfortunately.
When marketing services would get call-ins, they would mark essentially the positive responses as a 10-to-1 because they knew that for every one person that actually took action, wrote an email, made a phone call, approached somebody and said, I like X, Y, and Z, there were 10 more people who just told somebody else but didn't tell the other people, didn't tell the market, the product. So that's it. And so, there's a huge ratio in there. But I think probably because at whatever level of our human psyche, I think probably because of the pain threshold of negative things, it has a little different impact on us.
Yeah.
That we do register those things more frequently.
Sure.
And so
those are the things that you tend to remember, unfortunately.
But as we were talking today about, what to talk about at the podcast in this episode, I kind of heard this little phrase, which is not an original phrase at all, but
I'll be the judge of that.
well, it's not original to me. I didn't make it up.
Okay.
But the phrase is, why do we persist? Why do we carry on? Why, the idea of trying to make the world a better place, trying to make our worlds better places, a better place, is difficult. And in any lifetime, in any week, in any day, there's a tug of war. There's a back and forth. So there's the back and forth of the goals that you've set for yourself. There's back and forth on your little family, and so we're in the thick of it. We have 3 humans that live under one roof. Many people have a lot more.
I was like, that's a lot fewer than most people.
But your family unit is a whole seesaw of crappy things, and other days where you just say, "Wow, I'm the happiest man in the world,"
Yeah, and then the next day it's like, why did I decide to have a kid?
I wonder if it's too late to be single.
Hey,
not me,
likewise, I'm sure.
Other people. So and then you add into that for us, there's being kind of quote self-employed and the goals and aspirations we have for ourselves as a company. There's the stuff that we're trying to achieve with Dreamers. There's being in the school with Dreamers. There's all those other things. Mm-hmm. And living a good life is not for the weak at heart. You don't default into a happily ever after.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. It's easier, and sometimes it's the right call, but it's easier on most days to go to the couch, which is what, our allegory. What's the word I'm looking for? Metaphor? What? Anyway, picture?
Sure.
Anyway,
yeah, we'll go picture.
We'll come to it.
Yeah.
But that's what we call, kind of giving up. Or mailing it in, phoning it in. And so, and sometimes, when you're exhausted, that's the right choice. But for us, do you feel like for you, that's a daily battle? Like, am I going to get up and try today?
I feel like getting out of bed is a daily struggle.
You love to wake up so early, though.
And I feel like shaving has become a daily struggle. I don't know why. I have no desire to grow a beard. I don't look good with a beard, and it's really uncomfortable.
You should have legs.
But somehow the 45 seconds to a minute that it takes to shave has become like an actual conscious decision. Yes, you must shave
So
today.
you actually start to sympathize with David Letterman when he got we just started growing the gross giant beard.
You still have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, what is happening here?
That's what I think. There are some days for me, and I don't wear makeup on Sundays, but there are some days where I get up and it's maybe a weekend and I'm not going to see anybody, but I'm like, I think it would help me to look my best for not look so homeless.
I think on the other end of it, in terms of dreams and aspirations, I think what probably weighs the most heavily for me and maybe for us too, is the perceived nature or perceived parameters for success. So it feels like, yes, we've been working at a lot of the stuff now for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And we get up and we do that battle pretty much on a daily basis, trying to achieve whatever we believe we want to achieve. And so by a lot of indices, we are successful. We've been doing this for 30 years. We're still doing it. If you look at the impact over 30 years, that seems significant. And this whole thing about, a community and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have some of the more culturally based
traditional
success,
like a raise or a big IRA,
or fame, or a larger audience,
or notoriety.
Right.
Yeah.
And so those are those cultural reference points are the things that I think weigh heaviest on us. And I think that part becomes difficult. Like, is going through this level of effort, going through this level of work, is it enough for this audience, this size of reach, this level of whatever we're doing? And so we've come to that, often.
And taking some of that pressure that we can put on ourselves to do that. Yeah. And just saying, is it, we talk about that a lot. How do you define success?
Yeah. So if you're not...
We used to define it differently 30 years ago.
I think so. And
20 years ago.
I think if you... Well, we used to say when we first started, okay, we're going to go down swinging. Even if we don't reach the level of success that we want, even if we're not, quote, successful, is this something you want to do? And we would say, I'm gonna go down swinging. This is the life I want to live, no matter what, even if I don't reach success, and on. And now here we are in that spot 30 years later, and then you're saying, okay, big talk. Is that really real
do you still want to persist in this fight? And how much of that is healthy to persist in? And and I think for us, it's been, and I didn't know what we were going to talk about today, but it's interesting. I think revising some of that doesn't mean that you're giving up on your ideals or your principles, but it's saying, okay, so this is the amount of time that we have left. And, we did decide to have a kiddo who's awesome, but now we have this much time. And so what is I guess, success look like for us now?
Yeah.
Or what does living in those ideals look like now, without us trying to kill ourselves, having moments of joy?
Yeah. And then even with our family, there's an awful lot that is required to be a hands-on parent. There's an awful lot that's required, emotionally and physically to not just give in and mail it in and give someone an iPad and say, get on with it, watch TV.
Hand them your phone.
Yeah. And so
let them text 24/7.
So then we have to say, well, why do we persist? Why are we going through the effort of being those kind of parents? Why are we going through the effort of trying to make our city, our community, our neighborhood better when it's this huge back and forth and a lot of people don't seem to care? And then even with, if you've ever done anything at all, from trying to throw a birthday party for somebody to trying to film a family event to trying to do a community event or whatever, you can feel like you are carrying the whole thing. And on some level, you'll say, well, what does it matter?
Yeah.
If I just
Nobody
step out,
cares.
if I just step out, then they just don't have that birthday.
Yeah.
If I just step out, then the community can just suck it. If I don't, if I give up and quit here, does anybody even really care? So it is an interesting question of saying, why do we persist? Why are we not quitting on any of these levels?
Yeah.
Why are we continuing to try and create this life for ourselves or for those around us?
Yeah. And obviously it's not just about us. We kind of use ourselves as examples because you and I are the only two talking to each other right now. But for people that are listening, I mean, I guarantee you that the people who are even taking the time to listen to this most often are people who do care, and they're trying to live intentionally, and they're trying to make their world and the world around them a bit better. Right. And that's a good question. I mean, why do you dial up the Dreamers Life podcast? Why do you care? And I think for us, a lot of times, I know for me on a bad day, but man, we hit one we just had a week, and everybody probably feels like that. Yeah. But we had just had a bunch of things in a row and a lot of just struggle last week.
Yes.
By the time we got to Friday and got home to finally rest, I think we were all ready to punch each other out.
Oh, man.
But
well, you're carrying the fatigue from that week, and then somebody else becomes the face of it.
Exactly. And it's best not to speak, or everyone maybe just to go to their separate corners, which we didn't do. Right. But the point is, on a bad day, on a day like that, that's where those questions, I think, come in to live, which is, does it even matter what you're doing? Right. Why don't you just go to the couch, metaphorically speaking, or actually, why do you care? And so I know for you and I think we're similar in this. On a really bad day, those are those thoughts. But it is interesting that once you have some time to reflect and rest and, pray or get yourself together, whatever that looks like for you, we're back. Yeah. We're usually back. And sometimes we make revisions. And do you think that that's just, to me, I think that's maybe the best of human nature?
I think that, I think
it's a choice, but don't you think people want to
me,
do that?
Why we persist, the answer to that call, I think at some level is what you said, which is that it is a choice.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes you don't feel like it at all.
You and I started choosing that when we were obviously much, much younger. And it was easier then. We were idealistic and we were young and we had that energy and we did not have the wear of reality yet. We did not have the wear of being pushed back yet.
That's the beauty of youth.
Oh, man.
You believe anything is possible.
And now I think at some way or level, we've been able to hold on to a part of that, of who we are, but we've been able to partner that with experience, and partner that with wisdom, partner that with reality. We now, I think we know more now what works and what doesn't work, what's worth it and what's not worth it. And that many miles will help you start to discern between the things you should run after and the things you shouldn't.
I think a good term, which I don't know if it is a term, would be like realistically optimistic.
Yeah.
It's like, can realism and optimism dwell together? Yes. And I think it's just sort of perhaps it's a more refined optimism if we're being nice to ourselves in that now we know, if we're going to shoot an independent film or whatever, that's going to take the better part of a year and a half. You're going to drain all your resources and you can't have a kid if you're going to do that and keep, all those, you learn that. So it's like now if we had an idea for a film or whatever, it's not necessarily that we wouldn't do it, but we would know better how to count the cost. So we're a little more realistic about that.
Yeah, you know more going in what it's going to be.
And you have to want to do it, whether it's going to get a lot of notice or not.
Yeah.
You have to want to do those things because it's in you to do them.
Right.
And for me, a lot of times, because the results never ended up being what we thought they would be, this is probably true for most people. So then you say, well, why do I do it? If I'm not going to be, a well-known musician and have songs that are sold here, there, and I'm still hopeful that those things may happen, but then why do I write music? And why do I care about these melodies that'll float in my head?
Yes.
And I think for us, where we've come to rest on our good days is because that's how we're made.
Yeah.
That's who we are.
Exactly.
And so the choice that we have is, it's easier to quit. And I've had whole, months where I don't play music, because I'm tired of it and I'm sad and I don't want to mess with it because it's too hard to believe.
Yeah.
But it always circles back. And so for me, I think divorcing the expectations and even the results and doing it because that's how I am made and that I'm better when I do that. I'm better for the people around me. That has helped me to persist.
Yes.
Whereas maybe 20 years ago it would have been like, well, I'd love to have a recording contract and this is where I want to tour and da-da-da-da. Now you say, let me just do this because I can write songs and that's good for my heart, Yeah. I mean, do you find that taking the expectations, not all the expectations, but
I find for us, I think, you hit on so many great things there. I think.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, please.
Having a good day.
Hero is a heavy word.
It is.
But I do think that it is a lot of who we are, and what I'm proud of, when I think about where we are right now is that, like we said, a lot of this was easier when we were younger. We were idealistic. We had the energy of youth. We knew we had not really been kicked in the teeth. We had really not been. Yeah. No one had called to see what our cards really were. So we could say, "Oh, I'm doing this no matter what. I'm going to go down swinging and all that." And then here you are swinging.
Right.
And so
now we have some teeth missing.
Now we're 30 years in, and we're being called on to say, "Do you really mean that?"
Yeah.
And we're saying yes. Yes, I am. I'm an artist. Yes, I'm a creator. Yes, I'm an idealist. Yes, I am passionate. Yes, I'm a friend.
Yes, I'm a dreamer.
Yes, I'm a dreamer. Yeah, and not just. I don't mean that. Yes, for me. I mean that. Yes, for everyone who's listening.
Yeah, definitely.
You are a friend, and you are a lover, and you are a person who's decided this is the kind of human you want to be.
You want to be a good parent.
Are doing it. Yeah. You're actually doing it.
You're doing it. Yeah.
And that's an amazing thing, and no one can take that away from us. And so on the balance sheet, I mean, that's, I guess, what integrity looks like. That's, I guess, what strength looks like.
That's a good word. Yeah.
We're doing this because now we're without the burden or the carrot of success as we know it.
Success, fame, or money.
We're still doing it. And what's interesting about it is that, the kind of success that our culture has adopted in terms of fame and numbers, it's always about numbers and size.
Followers.
And all that stuff. Yeah. That's for less than 0.5% of people.
It's crazy,
world.
Right?
Yeah. So
those are the people we see. So we think it's
of all
very
the
common.
Millions and millions and millions of people that happen to live in the United States alone, the people that we worship on the altar of celebrity, that's 0.5% of our population at best.
Yeah.
And the same thing, even less, that are rich.
Yeah,
and so, to be an artist, to be a creative, to be a passionate person, to be an idealist, to be any of those wonderful qualities of human, means you're going to be that at this level.
Yes.
And is that enough? And are you going to be okay with it? So
yeah.
So you and I have taken on principles and ideals that we simply believe are better, that we want to live up to. We are trying to be the people that we started out thinking are the kind of people the world
but
needs.
It's hard.
It is hard.
I mean, people think one of my biggest annoyances, and you probably think the same way too, is they'll say, what do you like? I was substitute teaching yesterday. And so one of those sweet little younger teachers says, well, what do you normally do? So I hate to say it because it sounds like it's fun. Right. And there are moments where it is, oh, well, we do, video production. My husband's a writer and then I'm also a musician. Oh my gosh, how fun. And I just looked at this young girl in her 20s and I said, I said, there are moments that are fun. It's also really hard.
Yeah.
It can be really hard, just like anything else, But we talk about that too, the ideas of celebrity and fame and money. So even as, when was radio invented? Was the advent of radio? Was that 1920s?
Well, it's called turn of the century, last century.
Okay. So let's just get that right. Turn of the last century. People that were musicians before the advent of broadcasting, were musicians only in their own community because there was nothing beyond. If you lived in Bartlesville or wherever, Copan or whatever, town, you were one of the musicians in town and you might travel by horseback to, to another, but there really weren't, even until there were newspapers, ways for other people to find you. And so you were a musician, you were a writer, you were a painter. And so, then as, broadcasting and messages and art and everything became mobile to other places. So as that's then there were radio stars and then you would know about these people. So the standards of all of that, and it became huge. Right. And so now we have superstars that are internationally famous, and somehow as artists or even business people, whatever it is, we compare ourselves to this huge, the very cream of the crop, the top of the top that have been discovered or whatever. When the truth is, I think what people were designed to be was in their communities. Yeah. To make them better and to be artistic and to be good parents and to improve their communities. And so it's interesting if we separate ourselves out from all of that. So we would tend to look at, haven't achieved something that has a bigger audience really than this smaller group that we have. Does that make what we do of less value?
Right.
No, but it's hard to fight, Yeah,
like right now. So this morning, I got to the office and the first thing I did for 30 or 40 minutes was write.
Yeah.
And
Good for you.
And I had to make myself do that. That was not my, innate.
You don't wake up every day like, let's have some thoughts.
I don't drink my coffee and then think, oh my God, an idea. Let's write this down.
Occasionally that happens, right? But
almost literally everything I do in that regard is absolute work.
And I've heard other writers say that.
Yeah, it's, I have to make myself sit down. I will pretty much find anything I can do.
Oh my gosh, me too. Yeah, me too.
I will rearrange the office. I'll clean the floors. I'll do all those things. I like being in college and having homework again. I'm like, I need to organize my desk before I get started here.
Boy, these drawers need a good fixing.
And so I force myself to sit down. I force myself to write. I force myself to stay in front of the computer for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And then once I do that, in general, I find some flow. Good. And then I find myself really, really enjoying what's happening in that moment. But I'm writing something that very few people will ever read.
Yeah.
As we joke about that tens of people will read. And so why are you doing that?
Why do you persist?
Yeah. Why do you persist? And then in part, I persist because I like what writing does to me and for me, that it helps me congeal certain thoughts and certain abstracts and certain things into something that, that's what that is. And then I find that also gives me a place to have conversation with other people and communicate things.
Yeah.
And so we're in a good place for that. So when I have these kind of random pieces of ideas that have been floating in my brain, and I kind of lasso them and bring them down on the paper, I see in that moment, that's what that thought is. And then that makes me essentially more intelligent because I've taken that thought and added it to my intellect, but then it also has given me a place that I can have those conversations with other people and get feedback and
sort
and
of organizes your world.
I persist because that's the person I want to be.
Yeah.
And that's the person I enjoy being. And I persist knowing that likely very few people, if anybody, will ever see it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And then you have to become okay with that.
Right.
And one of the reasons I think that I persist for the most part. Definitely have days where I'm not persisting, but for the most part, I feel like I persist because I know the alternative.
Yes.
And the alternative for me to give up or go to the couch isn't satisfying.
Right.
It is fun for about 2 days. Eating all the Cheetos you want. I do love a good Cheeto. Drinking a lot of martinis, whatever that is. I mean, speaking literally and metaphorically. But it's fun for about 2 days.
Yeah.
And then there's a reality and a sadness that sets in that you know that's not how you're wired.
Yeah.
And so we've seen, and you'll remind me of that sometimes. What's the alternative? If we don't do this project because of what we do, we're forced often, and actually we're in that spot exactly right now on a project that we're getting ready to try and launch. And neither of us really want to do it. We've launched a million things, but we know that that's the right move for us. But the alternative is, and you would say to me sometimes, okay, so what if we don't launch this project? What are we going to do?
That's a great question.
What are we going to do? Sit around and be sad?
Well, it's not. I mean, that's a great question to ask yourself, and it's not meant to say, do the thing you're thinking of doing. It's a real question.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where we are. There's a lot of resistance to this idea, or there's a lot of whatever to this idea, or this is very
internal
difficult.
and external.
What does it look like if we don't do that?
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer is,
it's a relief.
This is tremendous. Let's not
we'll
do
do this other thing.
Oh, it's nice to get that freedom and nice to give that up. But then a lot of times when we consider what life is like without that, then you're like, then
we would just be bored. Yeah.
I think one of the other reasons why you and I persist is in a sense to kind of honor the idea, or honor dreams, or honor visions, or honor inspiration. And we talk about the book Big Magic from Melissa Gilbert, and the idea that
Elizabeth Gilbert.
I'm sorry, yes.
Melissa Gilbert was Little House on the Prairie. I do love her as well.
And she did not write that book.
No, she didn't. This talented actress.
No, the idea that these ideas are out there, or this inspiration is out there, whether divine or in the ether or whatever, and it comes to you.
Yeah.
And, like we've said, in having conversations about music and about writing, and it's not the kind of success or level of success that we thought or wanted at the beginning. Do we continue? And I've always said, if melodies still come to you, if lyrics still come to you, if that inspiration wakes you or finds you, then the obligation is to
honor the idea. Yeah. That
because
helps.
it doesn't happen to everybody. And there's 1,000 people who are dying for inspiration on a song right now.
Yeah.
So if that inspiration finds you, if the inspiration finds you to do good for someone,
yes,
as they come to your mind and you think, they really need to know that they're loved, or they really need someone to honor their birthday, or if that inspiration finds you, by all means, find a way to see that thing through.
Yeah.
If there are a handful of moments, that we did some short films a couple of years ago, and the idea came, I think, in a divine sense, but it came at a moment when I was not wanting it or looking for it.
Yeah, or not feeling confident, really.
And not at all. But the inspiration was so strong, I felt moved and honored that it even came. Yeah. And then I thought, okay, well, if that happens, I think that's your indication that you should act on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I think that can be true. Like, we talk about creativity a lot because we're in a creative business. But like you said, I mean, if an inspiration comes, and it could be something as simple as knowing that your child maybe that they're having a kind of a discouraging season. Right. And that you maybe see a quick picture of taking them for ice cream. Or I did something like this the other night because we have a teenager.
You don't need to tell me I ate ice cream.
Stop. No, but our daughter had a really busy season. She'd had like band and orchestra contests. It was just a lot. And sometimes I feel like she's got adult level responsibilities, and she just turned 13. But yeah, I thought, wouldn't it be sweet if she came home and there was a little gift on her that said, we're proud of your, we tried to congratulate her, not necessarily on success. She did get good ratings, but more on the work that she's put in and the time. And so if I hadn't followed through with that inspiration, it would have been fine because we could have said, good job. But she was very touched by that little gesture. And so these are things that
and she doesn't have to wonder or call into question whether or not she's seen or that people appreciate her. She
exactly.
knows.
Yeah.
She knows that she's
so a
loved.
lot of times it's making somebody feel special or doing the right thing at work or just see, like we talk about seeing and saying it, getting the sense that somebody that you're around needs a little bit of encouragement or just asking out to lunch.
Sometimes the inspiration is reconciliation. You know,
Ooh, that's
a thing where, you know, somebody comes to mind and you're thinking, I really need to make that right. Or
and it would be okay not to. Like, you know, things are okay with them now, but to go back and drop them that note.
I remember there was a friend of ours who went through a really bad, you know, scenario, and he, you know, made some moral decisions that were not good,
not the best,
and it kind of threw friendships and stuff into a whole flux.
Oh yeah, it does.
And I remember thinking, you know, in my own mind or heart, okay, I know how that can happen, and I could see how that can happen, and you know, I forgive them or whatever that, you know, wording is for that, and I felt that in my heart that I'd kind of let that go or released him from my own personal judgment, you know, in that process. And then I thought, maybe a couple weeks later, I thought, I feel that way, I know that, but I need to let that person know. I was inspired in that moment to let them know, hey, everything's cool here and there's no judgment on my end or whatever. And so, the inspiration that we get, even sometimes in seasons where we're fatigued and we don't feel like it, you know, whatever that looks like, you know, writing a book or patching a relationship or, you know, whatever it is, those are, when that inspiration comes, you have to honor it. You know, for doing it.
And it's always easier not to.
Yeah.
But that's why we persist. I mean, the freedom that came, I'm sure, for your friend, not only for you.
Right.
Because your freedom probably came when you let it go.
Yeah.
But when you chose to give that gift to your friend and take it that further step, that freedom came and a new closeness, I'm sure, in your relationship, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's why we persist. We know that it's a better way.
Yeah.
And we feel, I think, in our hearts and minds that things are more right.
Yeah.
And more hopeful.
You know, the other thing you said was, okay, if I don't do this, then what?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the part of it on why we persist, which is, what does the alternative world look like? If I lay down,
if everybody just says,
if I quit, if I give in to the darkness of the others, what else is happening in the culture in the moment, then what does that world look like? You know, and if I fall down, if I quit, how many other people quit?
Yeah.
How many other people stop living a vibrant, intentional life? How many other people stop doing these kind of things? How many other people quit, you know, pushing for light and pushing for hope?
And don't you think that we talk about community pretty much every episode of this because that oftentimes is what keeps us as well.
Yes.
Is when we are trying to surround ourselves, and sometimes you have to go out and find them, like we did with Dreamers, with people that are trying to persist.
Yes.
When you surround yourself with those people, and they know you're down and we bring each other back up, I mean, that is key, that community.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, so we do want the world hopefully to be better and to be brighter.
Right.
And so we try to surround ourselves with other people that also are doing their best to try and help make that happen.
Other
it's
people,
key because
people are the answer to that question.
There are times we're on the couch and you need a friend to be like, where are you?
Yeah.
Why aren't you at the gym?
We persist because of those around us, because there are other people in the same fight that we're in who we can't afford to let down by quitting, by stopping.
I mean, I think there are times where I have specifically not quit something because I will have a person in mind that I know that's a friend that has struggled with something very similar.
Yeah.
And either they persisted or they're on that, you know, choice line.
Yes.
And I will see their picture and I'll think, well, if I let this go, then they will.
Yeah.
And it's too easy. And I don't think that's putting too much importance on ourselves. It's more just that because we are involved with other people, we're intertwined. I mean, that's how life is.
That's how we're made to be with each other.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important for us to persist in gathering together.
I was reading something the other night, and you know, the relationship and the web of humanity, our intertwined life, is so important, and so much of how we are designed as a species. We are made to be a pack. We're made to live together, even us introverts. And so they talk about this whole study that in this book that I was reading about even vacation. So, like in other countries, like in Spain and France and they had what they call the grand vacation.
Do you like a group vacation?
No, grand vacation. So like as a nation, there's like 4 to 6 weeks in there.
Oh, yes.
You know, we would call it summertime or summer vacation, but I mean, the country almost stops.
Oh, that's awesome.
So all the big transactions, all the big things, business hours, all those things kind of change. And they have noted that people are obviously happy when they do vacation and when they have time off.
Sure.
But it goes up in terms of enjoyment exponentially if you know other people are on vacation. If you know other people.
Yeah, everybody's taking a break.
Even
it's okay.
people who are retired or who are unemployed are happier on the weekends.
Yeah.
When everybody else is off.
Yeah.
Than they are, even though they don't work a day, any day.
Right.
But knowing that this group thing is happening, this communal thing is happening, even if you're not always with those people, it's that awareness. And so it's really the whole thing about the way we are connected and intertwined, knowing that there are other people struggling with the same things you're struggling with. Yeah. There are other people celebrating the same things you're celebrating. There are other people involved in this same fight that you're a part of. All those things feed our souls. And it is like a network that is stronger together than it is apart. And there is a current that runs through that network that energizes and fuels and helps.
Yeah.
And so, cool. So, you know, why do we persist? Well, because we're connected to other people. Why do we persist? Because the alternative is a dark and shabby thing.
Yeah.
Why do we persist? Because it would be turning my back on who I am and who I was made to be. And that expression will be in writing, or that expression will be cooking dinner, or that expression will be working in the lawn. But at some level, I will be expressing who I am. Yeah. And I don't want to give up on that.
And so we persist together.
Yeah. And we have more likelihood and success in persisting when we're together.
That's good.
Because we encourage each other to not quit, to not take the blue pill or the red pill.
Oh man, dude, we got to watch The Matrix again.
I know.
I think it's the red pill.
I think it is too.
Why we'll review after this.
Yeah. Well, friends, we persist because you persist, because so many of you guys are doing such amazing work and you're just living out your lives, but you're doing it in a way that is amazing. And you are continuing to spread joy. And you're continuing to make joy for other people. Yeah. And you are living intentionally.
It's awesome.
And that's, as we say, no one defaults into a happily ever after. No one defaults into a happy relationship or a happy life. We make decisions, and we make more good choices and good decisions when we're with you, connected in this way. So,
yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. We're so thrilled. And that you're with us, and that we have speaking of together, we've got some Dreamer Live events that are coming up. And
Dreamers Live, coming up. We're doing a St. Patty's event. Super fun.
Yeah.
I love that
Thursday
holiday.
night here, actually, at the Lair, at the Pioneer Dream Loft space.
We are. Yeah. And then in April, which is kind of exciting, we have our first Dreamers Live in Austin coming up. Yeah.
Yes,
So more on that soon, but we're looking forward to the spring.
Yeah. And we have a new website that'll be coming up. It's you can probably check it out now. It's not fully done, but it's dreamerscoalition.com. That's the over thing for everything we do for Dreamers Live and Dreamers Club and Dreamers
our new 501c3.
But it'll have some dates on there that you can kind of help keep track of for Dreamers Live events. And as always, we would love to come and do the home version of Dreamers Live with you.
Yeah, let's do a cocktail party at your house or a coffee bar party at your house.
Or, organizations or whatever it is.
Talk
or
about some of these things.
We could do that even if you are away. We've done them in Tulsa and Oklahoma City and Austin and a couple of other places that we're getting ready to go to. So think about that. We could be doing this whole thing with you someplace.
Yes, that's good.
But between now and then, thank you. Keep fighting the good fight.
Yes.
Keep persisting. And that's why we persist. And we will see you soon. Peace out.